Okay, so now's the moment that we're going to get into installing these drawer slides. And as I previously mentioned, the kind that I'm using right now are side drawer mount full extension slides. These are KV. I think it's Nap and Void or something like that, or Vought. You have several different types, several different manufacturers. You have the biggest hitter is Blum. They make side drawer mounts and bottom drawer mounts. The bottom drawer mounts require a different type of construction on your drawer boxes. These ones here, they give you the most room you're ever going to get out of your drawer box. But when you open it up, you are going to see them. Whereas under the drawers, the undermounts, you won't see. So, like I said, there's just a personal preference there. Or I guess even a customer requirement. So what are we going to need to install these drawer slides? Well, first of all, because I use, it's not really half-inch Baltic birch, it's just a little under a half-inch. I use, I think these are half-inch panhead screws for this mounting the slides to the drawer box. If you use the countersunk heads, you will poke through, even if you use half-inch screws. So, gonna need the screws for the drawer boxes, for the cabinet boxes. What I use is some washers. Like I said, I kept my drawer boxes 1 1/16 inches under this opening here. So what that allows me to do is to sneak up on the fit. Now I didn't film putting this first one in. The bottom one, because everything's going to come, my next 2 drawers are going to come off of this bottom one. I always take my time and do it very, very carefully, because I am going to reference the rest of my drawers off of this bottom one. So I want this bottom one to be perfect, or as perfect as I can get it. So these rubber bumpers here, because I'm using the false front drawers, you also got to remember to compensate how much clearance you got, and you may have to make some adjustments in and out. This is another good move, so that when the drawer is slammed in, it's not, you're not getting a big knot coming out of the drawer front. And also what you're going to need is, I use tons of squares on this, just to make sure that when I put my drawer slides in, that I'm straight on the cabinet. That's my main concern, is how I am on this cabinet. Your box can be off a little bit, nobody would ever know as far as the gaps, because you're going to have the false fronts on there, and you can make the whole thing look as pretty as you want. Then of course we need our drawer slides, some clamps, tape measures, pencils, all that good stuff. And just as a side note, there's some drill bits out there that in our openings here, they self-center and they drill you a pilot. I don't particularly use those. I mean, I end up making like 3 or 4 holes in a cabinet for each set of drawer slides that I put in, just because I adjust it that much on this first one. Then once I get past that, I'm okay. So these are what my drawer boxes look like. I just shot them with lacquer. I love to smell lacquer in the morning. So what we'll do is I'll move this around and we'll get started setting up for the second drawer slide. And you pretty much use that information on setting this one here up. So we'll get switched around, moved around, and we'll get started on that. Okay, so now we're on the case here, and I always use a spacer to get an idea. of what my drawers are going to look like sitting in here. And very carefully I'll set my drawer in here. Then I'll look at my mark. And actually what I'll end up doing is I'll transfer my mark from my drawers to here, so that when I put my case pieces on, I can just go center on this. And I mean that's one way to do it. Of course, the other one is to measure the same distance that you did from here to here. Boom, you got it. It's like from here to the bottom of this case was 4 7/8. So I could do that just as easy. I'm sorry, it was 3 7/8. So I could do that just as easy there. But like I said, I've already got the marks on here, and because I have I can mess up a measurement pretty easy, I'll go ahead and I'll do it this way here, because I take any of those variables out as far as miscue on measuring. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to mark, because my case is a little bit bigger. And the tough thing about this here is my case is so dark. Okay, so I can do it that way, or like I said, can measure it with the tape. Okay, just so that this will look a little bit, you can see it a little bit easier, I put blue tape on here and where my marks are at. Now what I'm going to do, I actually have no need for this bottom drawer box now, so I'll take that out. But I'm going to take my big clamp here, my big square. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it right on that mark, and I'm going to clamp it down. But first, like I said, I don't need this drawer box anymore, so I can take this one out, set it off to the side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this cabinet on its side. Like so. So now I don't have to try to hold this against gravity. Okay, now it's very important to remember on these drawer slides, because I'm going from centers, whatever you go with, stick with it. Okay, it's some people will do bottoms, but now that changes the dimensions between the two drawers if you do that. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, I do centers. It's a little bit more difficult, rather than, you know, I can eyeball it as good as I want to, screw it in there, and then I can always bring my square up and make sure that I'm straight, and that way I'm not going to run into any of the other cabinet or the other drawer. So let me rearrange some things and we'll get going putting this in. Okay, so here we're ready to put this drawer slide in, and I really wish I could make it a little bit easier to be seen, but that's what you get when the inside of the cabinet is as dark as this. So I have my mark here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my drawer slide, and I want to be right to this outside edge. Like I said, we're going to be putting some rubber stops on the drawer fronts, so we definitely want to make sure that we've got room to adjust. And same thing here, I'm going right with the round holes. I'm not hitting the adjustment holes just yet. So I'll hit it down real tight. I'm going to back it up a little bit so I can move it back and forth. Now I'm going to take my square. I'm going to take this and I'm going to make sure that this here is perpendicular to the front of this cabinet. And once I have that, go ahead, I'm going to drop a screw in to take any movement out this way. I'm going to back it up a little bit. So I'm pretty much, I mean, yeah, it can move a little bit, but it's not going to be much. I mean, if I'm really that concerned about it, I'll drive that bad boy in there, because now I can still get my stuff underneath that one back there. So I love these pencils. I love the mechanical pencils. So now I can just take and put my screw in here, or my washer in here. Now before I'm just going to double check one more time and make sure, yep, nice and perpendicular. And then up into the middle of that hole. Got that one. This one's tight. Now I'm going to back this one back out. And now that I got that, I got my 3 holes marked. Now because I got this blue tape in there, take these back out, take my blue tape off, and then reinstall this. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our drawer slide, going to extend it out. And then right here we got this tab which separates the drawer piece from the cabinet piece. And just as a rule of thumb, what I always do, whatever the width of my cabinet is, or do I want to say width or depth, whatever you want to call it, but whatever this measurement is from here to here, I divide it in half. And I always do it that way just so that I never lose track. It's a good rule of thumb just to do. So now what I'm gonna do, and then I put my line on here. Okay, so then what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to, you've got all these different holes built in to your drawer slide. So you can put a screw here and you can move it in and out like that, or here up and down. What I do to start off with is I go for these holes right here, the ones that have no adjustment. I'll do that first, then I'll come back and see if I need adjustments made. I mean, there's no guarantee that I'm going to need adjustments, and there's no guarantee that I'm going to be right on the first shot. So there's my 3 washers, and because I've already done this on that drawer over there, I know that I need 1 washer behind each one of the screws I'm going to put on the side, and as far as for the cabinet, I'm going to need 1 in the cabinet as well. Now what I'm also going to do here is not only am I going to center myself, but I'm going to be right to the edge of the drawer. That's just more or less a starting reference point for myself. There's not really any rhyme or reason that I do it that way, other than maybe I'm just a little bit more goofy than the next guy. So this is the fun part here, is screws, washers, drawer slide, and none of it wants to move together. So like I said, I'm gonna be flush up here. Then I'm gonna go right on my line. Then I'm going to do this one here next, and then work my way to the back one. And then also there's another thing you can do to make sure you're going straight is put your square on there, just double check as you're going. I like what I see there. Okay, so with all that measuring and dilly-dallying, the cabinets or the drawers, I want to make sure that once they're open all the way, that they're not going to hit each other way out here. Okay, and we're going to close it up. Now, there's two mistakes here. One, this is my spacer that I used. Okay, I can put it in over here and I'm fine. But as I start to come across, it's stuck. So like I said, two things can happen. I can leave it as it is. I can leave this as it is. Nobody would be none the wiser to it. But I take a little bit more pride in my work than that. So I'm actually going to undo these screws here. And then actually first I'm going to put a screw in here into this vertical adjustment here. And I'm going to adjust that up and down, get that right, then screw it in these other holes. But I'm also, another thing that I'm going to have to do is I'm sticking too far forward. I didn't recess this back far enough. So that's another thing that I got to do. But before I go crazy on this drawer here, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to set up for my final drawer, which is going to go in here like that. Well, like so. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and get this one all set in there, done. Put my false fronts on, and then this here will be ready to put in. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to do this because I could put the drawers in and the drawer slides in without the cabinet being in, which made it a little bit easier to see. So I'm going to go ahead and button this up and get this all straightened out and be done. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up for this show. we covered a lot of ground as far as installing these the drawer slides, and I hope I answered more questions than I created with installing these side mount drawer slides. But if you have any questions, ask Huck at hucksdiy.com, and I'll try to answer the best that I can. Also, the next episode I'll go over a little bit more of doing this, fixing the errors and putting the false fronts on. I just didn't want to drag this one out way too long. So with that, a couple things I'm always going to ask. Number one is don't forget to sign up for our drawings. It's just click of a mouse. You click on it, you send me your email address, and under the subject just enter me into the drawing. Random winners are picked every month, and I mean, we've got some great stuff. We've got magazine subscriptions. Like I said, you know, if you've already got all of the publications that's out there, we can send it to a buddy of yours. I mean, it's not a big deal. So don't forget to sign up, and also don't forget to leave us reviews. iTunes is one we're always looking to get reviews on. Also, don't forget to this here's I put all my stuff on Lumberjacks, on Blip, on sawdustsoup.com. I think it's craigcommunity.com, where it's basically the Craig Jig sites. So there's tons of places to watch us at. So like I said, don't forget, enter our drawing. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. Get in there, get on it, and don't forget to leave us reviews. We'd certainly appreciate it. So until next time, definitely stay safe in your shops, and like I said, I hope I answered some questions on doing these drawer slides. If not, send me an email and I'll explain a little bit more. Okay, so with that, have a good one. We'll see you next time.